So Jesus was prophesied. And something I was just thinking about today is, first of all, there's a lot of prophecies that people didn't even know. The gospel is kind of hidden. And then Jesus comes after he's resurrected and is like, look at all these prophecies that were actually look at all these prophecies. And they're like, whoa. Like, there's all kinds of prophecies directly to Jesus. But the thing is, like, Jews, they're like, well, he didn't come and save us from whoever we thought was gonna whatever. And it's like, well, first of all, I mean, whose fault is that? I mean, from a scenario where he wasn't supposed to die for your sins, yeah, you all killed him. Anyway, never mind. But no, but the whole point was he had to come die for your sins, because that's also what the prophecies said. There's all these prophecies, one like directly saying, hey, guys, the Messiah, he's gonna be, crushed for your iniquities, bruised for your transgressions, pierced, if you want to use the word pierced, wounded for your transgressions. The chastisement that brought us peace was upon him, and by his wounds we are healed. Which, first of all, if people want to wonder pre-Jesus how people were saved, it was because they did all believe in a coming Messiah. And some may have even known that Messiah was going to die for them. But they did believe that there's a Messiah who, was this verse says, is by his wounds we are healed. It's not by his wounds we might be healed if we decide, if whatever. It's, they're already healed. Jews pre-Jesus believe in a coming Messiah whose wounds they are healed by. They can be in heaven by his wounds before he even died. Now, post-Jesus, Jesus is like, hey, guys, like if you believe in your God for all this time, and you all have been saved, you all are being saved, and then all of a sudden God actually comes, and he's like, guys, look, this is what I've wanted all along. It's in your scriptures, and you've all added a bunch of stuff to my scriptures. Here's even some stuff that I would add, which is what what it should be. Like, if you hate, you're guilty of murder. If you do this and that, and I wanted mercy, not sacrifice, and stuff like that. And when your God actually does come, and then you are like, no, kill him. Okay, you all aren't saved anymore. You all aren't saved anymore. And Jesus says, if you reject me, you all, so now you all of a sudden, this God you've wanted all along, all of a sudden you decide, actually, we don't want you. And now all of a sudden, yes, you all are not saved. If he had not come, they would not have been guilty of sin. But he did come, and he performed all of these signs and wonders. And he's like, guys, you have no excuse. You've seen it. You've seen it. Like, you all are condemned. And that is why they killed him. Because I don't know exactly what, Jews just, I've tried asking Jews what they actually thought about Jesus, and they don't, it's like mixed responses. They don't even know what to say. They don't know what they've been told. There's mixed things that they're even told about Jesus. And that's essentially how they tried to crucify him. They got a bunch of people to just make stuff up about Jesus, but no one was on the same page. Every time they brought up a offense to Pilate or whoever was bringing charges, or the priest or whoever that was, it's like people kept on bringing charges, but then they would contradict each other. And it's like, well, we can't put him to death for any of these things. You all can't get your story straight. And then finally, they're just like, are you the Son of God? And he's like, yes. And they're like, you heard it from his lips. He's the Son of God. And that is why they killed him. Even though Jesus pointed out in their scriptures, guys, the Messiah is God. And they're like, I mean, and that is what their scriptures say, that the Messiah is God. It talks about a Messiah, or actually, I don't know necessarily, but the Messiah, it said a few things it talks about the Messiah. But it also says like who God is. And then what Jesus now does is all the things that God said he would do. For instance, it talks about how God is a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense to people. It says God is a stone of stumbling, a rock of offense. Jesus comes and he's like, and there's also this thing about the stone that the builders rejected to become the chief corner. That's not exactly like a parallel prophecy. I don't know, it might be. But anyways, Jesus himself is like, guys, like I'm the stone the builders rejected, that is now going to become the chief corner. The apostles then bring in that verse about how God said that he is the rock of offense, stone of stumbling, and then this Jesus who you all murdered, he was that stone of stumbling, rock of offense, Jesus, therefore God. And then other stuff, it's like God's like, hey, I'm gonna shepherd my people. I am going to shepherd my people, is what God says. And then Jesus comes and he's like, hey guys, like I am the shepherd. That was kind of a claim to be God as well. And then there's all these other things like Judas. I like the Judas prophecy. I don't think Jews even knew was about the Messiah. It's one of those that you don't even know was about the Messiah. But then when you bring it up and it's like God in Zechariah actually says, me, God, was betrayed, am being betrayed, is being betrayed, whatever. I am being betrayed for 30 pieces of silver, which is then going to be tossed over to the potter. Or I think actually, another word it actually says it's going to be thrown to my temple, which then gives it to the potter. I think is what another thing says actually. And that's literally what happened. So he says, God, I am being betrayed for 30 pieces. Jesus comes. Judas betrays Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, given to the priest, the temple, which is thrown to the potter. They're like, we can't use it here. They pay a potter for his field or however that goes. It's literally lines up perfectly that God is the one who was betrayed and died for your sins. And there's no getting around that. You try to talk to a Jew and they're like, well, he didn't bring peace. Well, once again, and it's like, first of all, I don't know if there's another point I want to make, but